So there are lots of similarities actually between language in humans and birdsong, and we'll just go through a couple of them here. So first off, alarm calls in birdsong and words in human language are referential and stable signals. They refer to things. They're, talking about things. They're symbols, basically, more or less, as far as we can tell, for things that we want to talk about, concepts, things in the world, for example. And these signals can incorporate spontaneous gestures like pointing, either with the finger by humans or by the beak by the birds. So that's pretty fun. And they also, both of these systems have a way to combine units together. So birdsong, we have notes that make syllables, which make motifs, and human language has phonemes that make syllables, which make words, right? We have these building blocks that get more and more complex. Moreover, the units that make up syllables in human language, these are individual sounds like f and o and n in phonemes, right, for the first three sounds there. In birdsong, these are notes, so the units that make up syllables. How these are perceived actually depends on the surrounding context. You have these effects of context in terms of the perception of these basic building blocks, which again is in common between human language and birdsong. And there's actually a lot of similarities in language acquisition as well. So both human language and birdsong have early stages prior to the appearance of the adult forms. So they have babbling in human babies and subsong, right? Little teeny song bouts, right? Little sort of babbling songs in birds. And it's also really important for complete development to occur that the babies be able to hear their own production. So it's important that human babies hear the babbles that they're producing so they can fine-tune the sounds that they're making. And the same thing with bird babies. They have to be able to hear, their own little sub-songs in order to tune them appropriately. Both human language and birdsong seem to have 7 sensitive periods. So for birds, this is between 7 and 60 days old, so it's much younger than in humans, but it's still there. And it is the case that these systems can reconstitute themselves from impoverished input. So in human language, we have these cases of pigeons becoming creoles, adding that structural complexity back in to create a full-fledged language system in human language, that's creoles. And birdsong in zebra finches, they found that if you have song produced by isolates, which is kind of like a pigeon, it's missing a lot of structure, right? And if that's learned by subsequent generations of zebra finches, you end up with the full song back at the end of a couple of generations. So that structure gets put back in, right? There's something innately there, right, that allows them to reconstitute structure from impoverished input. And neurologically, it turns out that both human language and birdsong typically are lateralized, a good chunk of the language processing or the birdsong processing that's happening in the left hemisphere of the brain. And a couple more here. So it turns out recent work suggests that they rely on similar genes for vocalization, right? So really getting at that biological basis, there's something in common. And both humans and birds are predisposed to certain types of vocalization patterns. Again, this innate biological component to how vocalization happens. And the specific example here is you end up with short and high-pitched sounds more likely to appear in the middle of a song or an utterance. That's just the nature of the vocalization, both for human language and for birdsong. And then it turns out, again, there are lots of similarities going on here. You have, in both cases, smaller and larger units learn simultaneously. So human language, we actually learn both sounds of our language and words of our language kind of at the same time. We're doing it both at the same time. And birdsong, you're learning both motifs and song bouts at the same time, simultaneously, right? So that's another similarity. And remember motherese? So it turns out that adults modify their input when it's directed at babies, both in humans and in birds like zebra finches. In zebra finches, you'll end up with a slower and more repetitious version of their normal song. And guess what? With motherese, we often talk more slowly and it's more repetitious, among other aspects of motherese. So again, lots and lots of similarities.